I'm Antoni Kindler. I'm on the men's national field hockey team, and I'm from Vancouver, British Columbia. Yeah, well, I think first the whole term professional athlete. I mean, for us as you know, within the field hockey context, we're truly amateur athletes. Most of us either hold some sort of professional designation, or we're still students, or so it's definitely a balancing act, and kind of pursuing the passion that is playing sport, especially for Canada. You mentioned the ups and downs, and kind of my career certainly hasn't followed a linear trajectory of just one success after another. So I'd probably say the biggest success was actually qualifying for this Olympics for Tokyo. Not only from, obviously it's a huge accomplishment as a team, but for me personally, just having dealt with, setbacks, whether it's injuries, whether it's non-selection, whether it's, maybe a loss in some critical games in years prior. This was kind of a culmination of all of that. And the fact that we were able to pull it off was probably something that, and also we did it on home soil, which made it that much more special. So that was, I would say that was the career highlight. I think what makes this one especially, I would say particularly special, not that any Olympic would be any less, but, because there were certain moments in my early career which I saw great success, and all of a sudden you start to think that things are going to be easy, and you're like, wow, this whole sport thing, I was meant for this is amazing, and then you hit this moment, and for me it was the Pan American finals against Argentina. This would have been in 2011, and that was our qualifier for the London Olympic Games, and we were leading at halftime and we ended up losing that game. And as a goalie especially, you kind of wear a bit of additional sense of responsibility. And we had some incredible, legends of the sport still on our team at the time. I still look back at that particular game, and it was just so crushing. And I'd probably say it took a couple of years, actually, of, working through some mental things, working through, but it's also understanding that I was still early in my development as an athlete, and where some athletes just are kind of born with it, and not to say that they don't put in the time and the effort, but it just seems like it happens more naturally to them. For most of us, you have to put in the hours, put in the work, and so that's kind of why when I look at what Tokyo potentially represents for me, it's just kind of the culmination of kind of working through a lot of different things and achieving that pinnacle of amateur sport. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that there was one kind of groundbreaking moment where I was like, this is what I have to do. I mean, I always loved sports ever since I was, able to walk. My parents told me that, I was always running around trying to find the next, soccer ball to kick or basketball to shoot or whatever it was. And, I'd say from a Olympic standpoint, probably the one moment that stands out for me was Donovan Bailey winning gold in Atlanta. For some reason, as an 8-year-old, that just resonated, and still to this date, I remember, watching on TV and seeing the celebration that ensued. So, that was probably my first eye-opening Olympic moment where I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like I'd love to be a part of something like that in the future. And I think field hockey for me, I actually started quite late with field hockey. I started only when I was about 15 years old. And all of a sudden I noticed, the opportunities that existed as a Canadian guy, especially playing field hockey, which is predominantly, a woman-led sport over here. But it really just has such amazing opportunities globally. And, it's sort of been every step you get a little bit closer, and you kind of see, wow, okay, maybe I can make that next level. And very soon it goes from a provincial team to then you have sights on a junior team, and then you have sights on a senior team, and then next thing you know, you're looking at major games. And, I've now been fortunate to have been a part of the team for 12 years, going to Commonwealth Games, Pan American Games, Olympic Games in Rio as a reserve athlete, and now kind of getting set for hopefully pending selection. The real deal, in Tokyo this year. So, it's been an incredible journey. Yeah, this year's been particularly unique for me because I'm also a new dad. So, in the original plan, I was going to be going to Tokyo 2020 with a 3-month-old. And so we had everything planned out. But obviously, this last year, while challenging, I've been so grateful to be able to spend a little bit of additional time with my young family and learn to be a dad and navigate the whole challenge that is balancing work with hockey and now with family life. So from that point of view, it's been different. But you know what? Our team's never been, never seems to shy away from new challenges. And this is just kind of one of those things. Unfortunately, the pandemic's impacted people across the world in far more meaningful ways. And we're just grateful to have the opportunity to be competing at the end of the day and hopefully shine a bit of positive light on, what has certainly been a challenging, 16 months across the world. It's a question that gets asked quite often, and I honestly have trouble articulating what it really means, because I'd just say it's just such a sense of pride, and at the same time responsibility as well, to keep you accountable, and you're representing such an incredible country. And it's funny, even talking about it, I always get goosebumps, because I'm like, it's just such a special thing, and it's something that you really just don't take for granted ever. You just kind of look at the end of the day at how fortunate you are to be in this position, and I'd say the overarching theme would just be incredibly proud. I would say sport is probably the most impactful thing that's kind of shaped, my character, what I've been able to achieve. There's so many things that go outside of, the obvious when it comes to sport, like obviously the fitness and the, physical literacy, all that kind of stuff is kind of primary to it, but it's all the intangibles, learning these skills that are so transferable to whether it's professional life after the fact, and everything from time management to teamwork to overcoming adversity, and something that I think often gets overlooked, and it's just pursuing a passion. I think that's something that I've really come to understand and reflect on as I've gotten older and older in my hockey playing career. And especially on the amateur side of things, where you're not doing it because you're being remunerated necessarily for your time. You're doing it because you love it. And I think there's just so many aspects of sport, and especially from the team side of things, that if there's any parents looking or debating whether or not to put their kids in sport, I say wholeheartedly do it. And that doesn't necessarily mean that your son or daughter needs to end up playing on a national team, but there's just so many transferable skills and so many great things that you learn from sport that will help you in the classroom, help you engage with people on the playground, what have you. I'm a firm advocate for the benefits of sport. So again, this is like one of the quirks of being a goalie, right? It's you're always playing around with what you want, like what's the mental state you got to get to find a consistency in performance. So I would say for like a pregame, I try to keep things fairly mellow, nothing too hype. I've tried being too hyped and it's not worked out well. So actually a friend of mine from high school, he's been producing music for a while. He's a DJ, and there's some of his songs, his name's Pat Locke, that I kind of listen to pregame. But if I'm looking for, something to hype me up for a workout, for example, I'll either go to some of the young guys on the team, be like, what do you guys know? or I'll listen to some like Travis Scott or Drake for some Canadian content, something like that. Excited to be kind of on the road to Tokyo with all the Canadian athletes. And of course, a huge thank you to all the partners, and particularly Sentinel Storage and the great family of partners that we have. Without the support, I mentioned, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things that we're doing right now without incredible support from the community and from the public and the Canadian people. So, just go Canada.